Okay, Sarah, whatever will be, will be. We're going to Wembley. Okay, Sarah. Yes, people, big up, big up, big up. Yes, the FA Cup. We've just watched our team beat Preston North End at Deepdale 3-0 convincingly. And by the way, just to say, that game, interesting spectacle, especially because Preston North End made that first half very, very difficult. And then the magic second half turned out as we always do, and that was unbelievable. But first and foremost, big up to Villa, got the job done, professional job, and we are through to the semi-finals. And just like that, we find out who our semi-final opponent is. It was the weirdest thing ever. It was like, boss, you've done your job against Preston. Now here's your semi-final opponent. And of course, it is Crystal Palace. People, we got Crystal Palace. We got Crystal Palace. Now, for some people, they were dreading this one. They were going anything but Crystal Palace. Anything but Crystal Palace, because they're our bogey side. And I'm going to get up our last few fixtures against Crystal Palace on the screen right now for you, so you can see why people feared Crystal Palace. But on hindsight, this one might be the one for me now. When I really deep it, we owe Crystal Palace. And we owe them big time. And we have to find the winning formula. We cannot be scared of Crystal Palace anymore. We have to find that winning formula, and we will. And it's at Wembley. It's a neutral ground. And Villa have got to be smelling blood. Villa have got to be smelling the taste of a final. Forest play the winners of Bournemouth, Man City. Palace play Villa. The draw has been made. The FA Cup semi-final will be on the weekend of the 26th and 27th of April. I'm sure each and every one of you are absolutely buzzing for it. People, run up the likes right now for me. Smash that like button, and let's get our thoughts into this, because Villa get Crystal Palace in the semi-final. Big up to Standing. So come on, the Villa. And big up to us. Big up to Vamos VJ in the house. Josh, can we do them? We mustn't keep this fear of Palace. They ain't a prime Liverpool Man City. Exactly. We should not be fearing Crystal Palace. Let's put it in black and white. We should not be fearing a team like Crystal Palace. But it was always going to be them. It was written in the stars that we were going to get Crystal Palace. It really was. And so I think it's destiny. If we want to go and win this competition, we've got to beat our bogey team. We've got to beat our bogey team. And I think Palace is that. And so why are Palace our bogey team? Well, have a look at this, people. Have a look at this. Okay. We have a really, really poor record against Crystal Palace, as you can see here. And yes, I have got Wembley Stadium behind me in this picture, as we're gearing up for it now. So, Palace. Well. Where do we start? Where do we start with Crystal Palace? So the last two, we haven't beaten Palace in our last 4 games. We've come a bit unstuck against Crystal Palace. Our last 4 games, we've had 3 losses and a draw. So that's the first one to lock in. Our record against Crystal Palace is 4 losses, 3 losses, 1 draw. No win in the last 4 attempts against Palace since 2024. And weirdly, prior to that, it's not been all doom and gloom against Palace. But our last, I'm really sorry, I've got some bran flakes stuck in my throat. Last 4 games, you can see there, a 4-1 loss, a 2-2, a 2-1 loss, and a 5-0. Now, the 2-1 loss was in the Carabao Cup, where we did, again, field a weakened side and we got punished for it. The 5-0, Sunday, May the 19th, was that last game of the season, where actually you could say everyone was on the beach. So you could disregard the last 2 games. You could disregard the 5-0 and the 2-1. The ones that do stick in mind, though, are the Premier League encounters that we've had. The Premier League encounters, the 2-2 draw against Palace. When Palace, by the way, were 18th in the Premier League at that time, and we were 9th. A result that should never have happened. A game in which we absolutely blew. And then the 4-1 loss at Palace was an absolute embarrassment. And that game was only just recent. That was a poor performance. I think Unai Emery got it wrong that day as well. And so overall, when you look at that, this is why people have feared Palace. But maybe we could debunk it. And as I said, if you take away the Carabao Cup game, where we've rotated really poorly, haven't really taken the competition seriously enough, and ended up getting knocked out. And the one before that, the 5-0 loss at Selhurst Park, was genuinely the last game of the season where everyone was on the piss. Everyone was on holiday mode. Everyone was like, I don't give a crap, basically, because we've got Champions League football. Players, the fans, the management, all that stuff. No one actually cared. So that's a big thing for me. on that one. But let's go to the last two games to remind ourselves of Palace. And let's go to the last two games to really lock in of what I mean. That 2-2 draw then, and how did that one phase out? Well, as you can see here, the 2-2 draw was a really weird game. Ross Barkley had his first start. That was one thing to remember. We didn't have, of course, Asensio or Rashford. But the whole way in which the goals went about was like this. We missed the penalty as well, if you can remember. We missed the penalty. Yuri Tillemans, to be precise. But Palace went 1-0 up after 4 minutes. Then Ollie got it back to 1-1. Then they scored in 2-1 in extra time. And we had to be bailed out by Ross Barkley. It was a game in which we were chasing. We were chasing our tail. We were absolutely chasing our tail. And that was the one that frustrated me. We never got going in this game. Yuri Tillemans missed that penalty, which could have maybe changed the tie. But ultimately, we stunk that game out. So when we look at Crystal Palace and when we look at these results, if you go eye for eye and break them down, we shouldn't be as worried as maybe we've made out. We shouldn't have been as worried as we made out. But both times, again, the game at Selhurst Park was an absolute joke. Unai Emery got it wrong for me. His team selection was awful. But we have always found ourselves in the game against Palace and then we let it slip. And so I want to know, why are we fearing them? Why are we fearing them? Is this now a voodoo? Is this now a team and where we go, it's bloody Crystal Palace. We've lost already. Look, I think someone said it in the comments earlier. It's not Liverpool. It's not Man City. It's not Arsenal. It's not Chelsea. It's not Man United. It's Crystal Palace. If we are going to Wembley fearing Crystal Palace or being worried about our bogey side, we've already lost. We've already lost. I think we have to drop that voodoo now. I think we have to drop that narrative. I think we have to drop that fear. I think we have to stand there with chest now and go, do you know what? We fear no one. We're here to win the FA Cup. We'll beat whoever's in front of us. If it's Crystal Palace, it's Crystal Palace. If it was Man City, it was Man City. But it's time now to put this bloody voodoo to bed and beat Crystal Palace at Wembley, under the arch, and make something of it. But yeah, people, if you haven't already, smash the like button. Are you confident, or are you still living in that fear of Palace? Do you just think it's not meant to be? Do you sit there and think, do you know what? It really is not meant to be. Crystal Palace, we cannot beat them for the life of us. We're scared. How do you feel about that, people? I need to know. Did you want them? Or did you want Forest? Or did you want Bournemouth or Man City? Let me know who you wanted. Stanley says, our players mustn't let Palace live in their heads rent free. That's the first thing, a positive mind, then translate it to pits. That's the theory, exactly. But we could have gone to Deepdale today and gone, oh my God, we're playing Preston. They haven't lost at home in 15 games. Oh, we've got a real chance of being knocked out here. No, there wasn't that mentality. Captain, that 4-1 is still in my head. Just nope, it's not the head. Yeah, that 4-1 was a pathetic performance. But again, for the first time in a while, I'm going to put that 4-1 down to Unai Emery. I thought Unai Emery got the team horribly wrong at Selhurst Park. Horribly, horribly wrong. And yeah, we'll have to see on that one. But yeah, what are we thinking then, people? Is this the team you wanted? Is this the team that, you were like, please, Villa, avoid? I was basically in both camps. I said, I'll take whoever. I'll take whoever. You've got to beat the best. You've got to beat the best to win it. You've got to beat the best to win it. And so let's see what happens. Joe Harris is saying, Villa, we're going to win them. Big up, Joe. Excited for the FA Cup, of course. And you've got to believe. 100% got to believe. So, yeah, honestly, it's so weird how quick it's happened. When you beat Preston, you just about soak it in the FA Cup semi-final, then bish, bash, bosh, no time to reflect because the draws come out and we've got Crystal Palace. So I wonder if we're going to be on the 26th or the 27th. I don't know yet. But that is obviously the last weekend in April. I'm just double checking the calendar now. Yeah, the last Saturday and Sunday in April, 26th, 27th is when we play Crystal Palace. It's a busy month, April. It's a busy month. I think that's 8 Villa games in April now. I think that's 8 games we're going to have in April. 2 Champions League ties, of course. And then this FA Cup semi-final. And I think we've got 4 or 5 Premier League games. We've got Brighton and we've got Forest, obviously, this week as well. And yeah, Standing said Unai has to take for the 4-1 loss. I agree on that one. And big up to 1874 said, up the Villa. I wanted Crystal Palace because I would take City, but I didn't want Forest. Yeah, Forest maybe was the team that sat uncomfortable for me. They look like a team who's on a mission this season. Going to qualify for Champions League, I think. Now a semi-finalist FA Cup. It's been a hell of a season for Nuno, hasn't it? So at the end of the day, we'll take who we get. We're going to put a performance out there. And if we play like we did in the second half today, I've got no qualms or problems about it at all. My only fear is with Palace is we do seem to concede early against them. We've got to think about conceding early against Crystal Palace. Second of all, Villa in general are just not a first-half team this season. I have no idea why we've got this slow build-up play, why we've got this lethargic pace, why we seem to not find any rhythm in the first half. And all of a sudden, they wait for like the Unai Emery bollocking, and all of a sudden it's like a different team. Like today at Preston, it was so clear. Second half, clearly all Unai Emery was asking, get more people in the box. Get more bodies in the box. You need more bodies in the box. And that's where those goals came about. That's where those goals came about today, because players were arriving in the box in numbers and not just in ones or twos. And that was the difference. And I just don't know why, chat, we leave it to the second half. And the biggest thing for me is, if you're a team who leaves it to the second half, you better bloody hope you don't concede in the first half. You better hope the game's not 1-0 down at half time. So we'll see. But are you telling me that Unai Emery's not going to sweat every single game against Palace since his tenure, since that 5-0 defeat? Are you telling me he won't look back at Palace's last 10 games? Are you going to tell me Unai Emery is not going to make the same mistake again? Because that will be unbelievable. That will be unbelievable. If Unai Emery makes the same mistake by playing that wrong 11, if you look back, he played that back three against Crystal Palace, that 4-1. He actually played, I'll actually tell you the team, that 4-1 defeat, he played Emmy, and Emmy Martinez went off at half-time, remember. It all went wrong at Selhurst. We had Konsa, Disasi, Bogard. That's a back three. That's a makeshift mismatch back three. In fact, I'll show you on the screen now. But there we go. Martinez, Konsa, Disasi, Bogard. What a terrible combination that was. That's who we played against Palace at Selhurst Park. Yeah, nearly time to show on Bournemouth for Jamesy. Absolutely. Do keep an eye out for Jamesy if we see him. He said he's a flag bearer. Christian Shaw said, I wanted any number one. I wanted any number one, but so when Joe pulled it out and we were the only number left, I was not happy. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think we've beaten Palace with Unai as manager. We haven't yet, and that's why he owes them. So you're right, Christian Shaw. DJ Barber Green says, when you say we, you're not referring to fans because the players speak for themselves. I'd rather them than Forest or City. Crystal Palace haven't faced our new players yet. Well, technically they have, DJ Barber Green. Asensio and Rashford did come on in this game against Selhurst Park, what we're looking at now. They did come on, but they didn't start, which was the issue that I had. Yeah, Ollie Watkins today had two big chances, 1874, and should have scored, but didn't. Dean says, I think we'll get there over Palace in this level of competition. I know they're dangerous, but so are we. Exactly. I don't fear Palace. I do not fear Palace at all. And what I'm trying to say is that let's get rid of this bogey. Let's get rid of this fear of Palace. Who cares if we've not beaten them since Unai Emery? If you break it down, as I said, the 5-0, we were on the piss. Last game of the season, we'd already made top four. The Carabao Cup, he rotated too much. The game at home, inexcusable, the 2-2 draw. And this 4-1 that I'm breaking down right now, look at this team. Look at this team. It stinks. Konsa, Disasi, Bogard. So you know Mings will be back for Palace. You know that already we're going to have Tyrone Mings or Pau Torres alongside there. We're not going to have Bogard. And, of course, Disasi's cut tied. Then look at this midfield. Look at this. Didn't work. We went Luca Dean and Garcia as wing-backs. We had Tillemans and McGinn. Tillemans and McGinn never works in that centre mid area. For me, it's too leggy. With Ramsey, Rodgers, Watkins, which, yeah, the front three is good enough. But that's where we lost 4-1. That was the lineup we had. Garcia being asked to play as a wing-back. With that back three with Bogard, with Disasi, and Emmy Martinez going off, you can even make an excuse for that 4-1 loss. Because look at that side. So what I'm saying is this. In the Champions League, in the FA Cup, in the Premier League, touch wood, there are no excuses anymore for Unai Emery because he's got a full strength squad. The only player who's not back is Ross Barkley. And yes, in the FA Cup, Disasi is cup tied. But ultimately, he has full range to pick of who he wants to compete. We haven't had that for a while. You've got people who are not in that starting lineup, like Asensio, like Rashford. Okay? You've got Tyrone Mings back. You've got Kamara back. 4 players who didn't feature in that Crystal Palace game from the start. Must have players. must-have players. And that is why, for me, I'm not scared of Crystal Palace. There's things seriously going wrong. And if you're a Villa fan going, I'm scared of Crystal Palace. Oh, my God, we're out. No. We can't be that level of fan base anymore. What about Ollie's miss today? Yeah, shocking. Both, really. The header and the chance that he dragged wide. Has to be scoring that. Has to be putting that in the back of the onion bag. People could say he's just come off the bench. Give him a chance. I get that. But also, he needs to realise competition is rife. Rashford played well as the 9 today. I think we've still got the Morgan Rogers issue. I'm not going to lie. Obviously, a lot of our play comes down the left. I think we've got a big problem with Morgan Rogers still being stuck out on the right. And you know when it was sort of like a good day because other people contributed today. Ramsey contributed, Rashford contributed. Asensio had an off day today. Asensio wasn't the player that we've been accustomed to see. He was quite sloppy and careless in possession. He lost a little bit of physicality. And I'm just sort of looking at it going, do you know what? That's brilliant. If your main man Asensio has an off day, well, someone else steps up. If Asensio and Rodgers have an off day, Rashford and Ramsey have stepped up. It's definitely put pressure on Ollie Watkins as a 9 because Rashford's going, hey, Gaffer, I'm scoring as a 9. Unai, I can play as a 9 now. I've showed you that. Jacob Ramsey's going, hey, Unai, you can't drop me. I'm scoring goals. I'm contributing. And all of a sudden, Ramsey and Rashford are saying we both have to play. So's Rodgers. So's Asensio. And all of a sudden, Ollie's going, hey, I haven't scored. Yeah, maybe I am on the bench. So as standing said, Josh, do you think Rashford might start to keep Ollie out if he goes on exactly that? That's exactly what I'm alluding to. It is all on Jacob Ramsey's form, though, for me. Jacob Ramsey is the man who decides whether Ollie Watkins starts or plays for me. If Ramsey's playing like he did today, you can't drop Ramsey. If Ramsey goes missing, then you go Rashford back out on the left, and of course, Ollie up as the 9. After 2 weeks off, some players look like pre-season. Again, really hard after the international break to get that rhythm. We saw that in the first half. Second half, we came alive. And I think that, momentum is key. I also think this 3-0 today will help us going into the Brighton game on Wednesday. Let's just remember this, chat. We've now had 3 clean sheets in a row. 3 clean sheets in a row. That's massive for us. We're scoring goals. We're putting goals past opponents. And that is why in the Premier League as well, let's not just worry about these cups. We've got to get our goal difference up in the Premier League. And we need goals, and goals. So, FA Cup semi-final draw reaction. Crystal Palace versus Villa. You take who you get. I'll be real. I would have been more worried if we got either Bournemouth or Man City. I think I want to play one of them in the final. We have to not fear Crystal Palace. We owe Crystal Palace. Unai Emery is yet to beat Crystal Palace as Aston Villa manager. Time to end that voodoo. If you want to win the FA Cup, Unai, this is the one. And look, this is our year, people. Everyone's been feeling it. No matter who we drew in that semi-final, I believe we're going to beat them. No matter who we get in the final, I believe we're going to beat them. You have to carry that belief. This is our season. This is our year to win a trophy. We're 2 games away from doing it. Come on, people. Let's get behind it. And if you do love the FA Cup, if you do think we're going to win something, then smash that like button, smash that thumbs up button for me right now on this stream and get in the comments. We are going to wrap up in a second. We take the Arsenal bag for Ollie, so 8-74. I feel for Malin, to be honest. Every time he comes on, I think he looks great, but he really needs to run of games. I agree. And probably the other thing about Donny Malin as well is the ball doesn't come down the right-hand side. Aston Villa's build-up play is predominantly down the left. Hence why Jacob Ramsey's thriving. Hence why Rashford's thriving. So there we go. But I'm buzzing. It's absolutely worked out how I probably expected, that we've got through that FA Cup semi-final unscathed. Really no injuries. Players starting to hit form. Rashford's got that goal. It's absolutely dreamy. And Amaron gave you Rashford. He did, and it's probably his biggest mistake he'll ever make. And that's okay with me. If he wants to be that guy who gives us a player, then we'll be fine. Congratulations, Marcus Rashford, getting his first goal today. But people, get some up the villas in the chat. Do you believe we're going to beat Palace? Wembley, 26th, 27th. More details will be confirmed. Get that one locked in your diaries. Villa fans, we've got the squad, we've got the manager, we've got the belief. It's time to go win a trophy. I mean it. I absolutely mean it. So there we go. Big up to everyone. I'm going to log off now. As I said, we did the watch along. Make sure you do smash a like. Do leave a comment after the stream with anything you want to say, because I will respond to it. If there's something you want to say about today's game against Preston or this FA Cup final, as soon as I finish the stream, go in the comment section, leave a comment. I would appreciate it. Forest will win. I hope they beat Bournemouth City. Big up to Dean. Big up to 874, to Christian Shaw. Big up to Standing. Big up to Mum. Big up to Del Boy, who's been in the chat. Big up to everyone. DJ Barber Green, Captain, Joe Harris, Vamos the VJ, everyone else who's been in the stream. Big up to PX Fuel as well. We are logging out of here. Enjoy the rest of the FA Cup weekend. People, it's been a blast. I'm out of here. Come on, the Villa. Roll on, Paradise. Ta-da!